Now, I'm an engineer, so you would think that I'd be approaching this from an engineering perspective, but as I'm looking at the conference, I came up with this idea prior to the conference, but it seemed to strike a common chord with many of the other presenters that are here, some of the other ideas that are going around. And so I thought I would go ahead and do a presentation on it. I apologize for the crudeness of my presentation. I did put this together while here, so there's no fancy graphics or anything, but I'm Tim Rousset, and you can reach out to me at either my Gmail account there or follow me on Twitter at Tim Rousset. All right. So we're all engineers, right? We like the complexity of wireless. I think that's why many of us were drawn into this field. There's so many options, so many things we can do with it, and it's just a fun protocol. It's much more difficult and much more fun for us to think about how data is being transmitted through the air than via a wire that it works, right? But our customers want a wireless network that does just work. At the end of the day, a lot of the complexities, a lot of the things that draw us into it are probably a turnoff to many of our clients. So here we are, the vendor complexities. Infrastructure vendors, right? You've got the devices. We've all been hearing about the device complexity, how each device is going to handle things differently. Application vendors who aren't even considering the difference in medium between wired versus wireless and how that may affect their application. And the installers and operators who have to support all of this. So how do we approach this? As a consortium, we have to think differently about it, I think. So as Albert Einstein said, we can't continue using the same thinking. If we keep doing the same thing over and over, that's insane, right? So as I was trying to figure out how to convey this message best, I went back to some of my early education and thought of Ptolemy's model of the universe, right? This is a model that worked for quite a long period of time. It was hugely complex. Not many people were able to understand the finer minutia of it. I mean, mapping out the planet paths in a Earth-centric model of the universe is a highly complex and highly difficult task. But there were people that were doing it. There were astronomers that were making predictions about it and could tell you where the planets were going to be at any different time. And it's a hugely complex and difficult model. And I feel like that's kind of where we are. So where did things go from this? That's a little bit of a joke. Obviously, we know that the Earth is not the center of the universe. We know that there's not a flat Earth, but we also know what the actual model of the universe is at this point, and so I don't need to go into it. But how does that relate to wireless, right? So we've got this problem. We do have this huge, complex infrastructure. I don't even know how to frame that word, but wireless is complex. So do we need to go back to something that's more basic? I mean, we've been talking about having different standards created, whether it's design standards, right? Trying to have clients that are reporting more back to standards, more standards from the infrastructure vendors. And that one, I'm actually going to make a quick appeal on that one. Why is it that we have to memorize the best practices for all the infrastructure vendors? Why can't, like, your Aruba, Cisco, Meraki, anybody, why can't you just have, like, for a best practice, if you're implementing Apple devices as clients, right? Why isn't it just one click button that says, yes, I have Apple, yes, I have Apple and other devices? Why do we have to go through and memorize all these complex settings? It should just be a push button that pushes the entire config to us so we don't have to worry about it, right? I mean, I don't know if that strikes a chord with anybody else, but it seems like a good idea to me. But the same thing can go through with any of the other portions of this. And that one strikes a chord with me because I am an operator of networks. But operators also have their own piece of this that we need to focus on, and it's educating people, as the bad Wi-Fi designs showed. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to this. And the reality of it is that we all end up pointing fingers at each other. And again, I think from a client perspective, from our consumers, it's not healthy, right? I mean, there is something of a broken model here, and we need to figure out the best way to approach that. So these are just some of the issues that we run across. And again, the bad Wi-Fi designs, that we don't have easy default settings or best practice settings, right, from the vendors. So, and again, we are the fix. And I'm not saying that we're doing things wrong, but I'm saying that we need to think about a way to approach this problem and come up with the solutions. And I think we're doing that, which I'm really happy about. But when I first came to the conference before putting this together and before seeing all the presentations, when I first had this idea, I wanted to make sure that at least the point was getting across, and I feel like it is. So thank you all. And these are just some of the steps that I thought of for remediation again. And then we went back. I came back to the fundamental shifts that I referred to. Maybe new certifications or answers, new standards bodies, maybe a rewrite of the protocol, the underlying protocol. I mean, it's a polite protocol that has some benefits, but it also creates some issues for us. So, and then dropping the older protocols. We've talked about 2.4 gigahertz is dead. What if it's not 2.4 gigahertz that's dead? What if it's 802.11b that's dead? Why do we have to have all this complexity to allow the backwards compatibility for things that at some point we need to phase them out, right? And it may not be time yet, but it does have to happen at some point. So I'm going to leave it with a question. The first slide was, how do you build a wireline that meets your customer needs? And how do you do it? I don't know that I have any answers. I've given some possibilities, but I think that it's this body, this group of engineers and vendors and everyone that's here that can make the difference. And so I think we have some ideas, and I think we need to continue to pursue them.